Good. So we come to our time of our talk. Valerie Zehl speaking on
What do you know for sure?
what do you know for sure? I was going to say, what do we really know anyway, but that's not it. What do we know for sure?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I got to turn it on. Okay, let's do a test. Okay, how's our volume?
I don't know.
Is this good?
Yeah, it sounds like
That's
you're
great.
back.
Am I doing okay?
Can you hear her?
Can you hear her? Yeah.
You might as well,
Where's
we'll
we'll turn it up. So that's
over
back
there.
there. You can
you
turn
might
it
as well
up.
start because.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Just start.
Here, we'll get it notched up a bit.
Or put it on that shelf over there.
And you can put it louder if we need it. Move it out.
Now, I was with a dear, wonderful person who is becoming a good friend last weekend, and she gave me these flowers. So I had to bring them because of what they represent and what they carry, the wonderful spirit they carry. So I hope you enjoy them. So the idea is, what do you know for sure? And I swiped that from Oprah Winfrey. During an interview 20 years ago, Chicago Tribune film critic Gene Siskel turned the tables on her and posed that question to her. What do you know for sure, Oprah? And she was completely flummoxed. She had no idea. Like, you mean? And she had no answer. But since then, she's thought about it, and she uses it a lot in, I don't know if you ever watch her Super Soul Sundays, which are also, of course, available on the internet. Wonderful, wonderful ways to expand your thinking and your heart. And she also compiled her own thoughts into a book by the same name. And some of her answers were, what you put out comes back all the time. When you nurture your body, it reciprocates. We all want to feel valued. Getting older is the best thing that ever happened to me. You define your own life. What you believe has more power than what you wish or dream or hope for. So let me ask you now, what do you know for sure? Any thoughts?
Nothing.
I know that God goes with me wherever I go.
Well, to segue from pets, I think it's for sure that pets may be the best thing in our experience to teach us unconditional love.
I'll second that.
I'll second that too, I'll third it.
The more you know, the less you know, because there's always something more to know. And it also changes as evolution changes. So change is constant, and the more you know, the less you know.
Absolutely.
True.
There's more than I can see.
And I was just explaining to Jim, I was confessing to Father Jim, the ex-Catholic lawyer, that months ago when I first met Jim, maybe a couple years ago, and he was talking about flying saucers, I'm going like, whoa, okay, so that's who he is. Okay. And now, you know, I've read a lot, I've learned a lot, and that's what this is all about. Is like, what I thought I know, maybe not so much. Who else had a thought? Anybody?
Well, we do owe great debt to animals on the planet because they are the ones who taught us to be human and taught us how to survive, starting way back with the wolves. We learned how to live in family groups, and we have forgotten all of this. That, you know, and we learned from bears, we followed them to, we learned how the herbs for healing. So, you know, we probably would not have survived without the help of the, you know, four-footed creatures. So we do owe them a debt. That's about all I know.
I think for me it boils down to isness. Isness. I know I am. And I know I am because I experience things. So.
Chaz?
All I know is there's always more to know. More that I don't know yet. There's always more.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
Well, since there's more to know, we think there's more to know all the time. For me now, I'm in a space of knowing is maybe not possible. That I don't need to know. I can just be. And that will take me wherever. But knowledge for me is very questionable at this point.
Oprah gave many, many answers, and one of them, she credited Maya Angelou. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time, which I thought was interesting. And then you can find Oprah's interview with Maya Angelou online. And in it, Maya is Dr. Angelou, since I don't know her personally, I have a lot of respect for her. She talks about being a student of unity. And it's not a far stretch then to think that maybe Oprah Winfrey is too, because she really, really esteemed Maya Angelou. And in this interview, Maya Angelou talks about way back when she was first introduced to unity, she read God is Love. And her mentor said, read that again. And she said, God is love. God loves me. I'm sorry. God loves me. Read that again. God loves me. God loves me. And then right there on the Oprah show, she broke down crying. God loves me. And the potency of those itty-bitty words. And she was saying, I'm so humbled. You know, the God who made, what did she say, fleas and bees or whatever. God loves me. So that's a really beautiful interview. You might want to look at that. And for both of them, Oprah and Maya Angelou, life is a succession of daily miracles, if only we can see life that way. I have a part-time job in the office of Tabernacle right down the street, United Methodist Church, and I've watched the international unfolding international conference in St. Louis last week because the people in Tabernacle, and I'm sure around the world, cared passionately. Right now, the sign in front of Tabernacle is we don't agree with the UMC, because in that conference, the UMC voting body said, that's right, practicing Christianity is incompatible with practicing homosexuality is incompatible with Christianity. And it may indeed be the one issue that divides the entire church.
And this is the United Methodist? What is
The
it?
United Methodist Church, of which Tabernacle is a part. And you could look at that and say that the spiritually unenlightened came out on top. But even as upset as I was, I couldn't question the sincerity of those who met and those who undoubtedly prayed about it and those who expressed their opinion via their vote. That is what they know, or think they know. And that news-making situation led to a conversation with an evangelical friend of mine, a beautiful soul, for whom I have learned a lot about being a good person by watching her example. And she said homosexuality is a sin, and I can prove it to you by the Bible. And my counter comments, you know, that other sins in Leviticus included going into the temple within 33 days after giving birth to a boy, or within 66 days after giving birth to a girl, mixing fabrics in clothing, crossbreeding animals, and planting different seeds in the same field. Those are all forbidden in Leviticus too. That wouldn't have enhanced our friendship, I'm pointing that out, nor would that have swayed her opinion. This is something she, through much prayer and thought, believes. So if I asked her what she knows for sure, she might well answer that every syllable in the Bible is true and is meant to be taken literally. Many people believe that, to the roots of their very sincere and God-seeking souls. As I've shared here before, my own spiritual autobiography reads like a roadmap through the endless mountains. I've been a lot of different places in my 63 years. And what I know for sure has changed, evolved, contradicted what I knew before previously. And I can honestly say, in each step of that journey, I could not have been more earnest or dedicated more strength to trying to find the truth, praying for guidance toward a truth, which led me to many things that retrospectively, okay, maybe not. Interesting. So I'm not alone in that regard. In 1633, a chief inquisitor appointed by Pope Urban VIII began an inquisition of physicist and astronomer Galileo Galilei for holding the belief that the earth revolves around the sun, which was heresy at the time. Galileo spent the rest of his life under house arrest. It took more than 300 years for the church to admit that Galileo was right and to clear his name. Think for a minute how many more were actually tortured and killed for the things they believed that were not considered to be true at the time, because they countered the beliefs at the time, not only in the Catholic Church. I mean, I'm not familiar, but I bet you that's a truth that transcends one religion. But we don't need to point fingers at institutions and their flaws. We need look no further than ourselves. I grew up in the northern suburb of Buffalo, North Tonawanda, New York, and it had sundown laws. Okay. People of color were not allowed in town after sundown. What's wrong with that? That's just how it is.
And that's New York.
And this was until the 60s, and I was looking online.
Wow.
By some accounts, it was into the 70s, at least in practice, if not actually on the books. Now, I grew up in that, breathing that air, the same as every other breath of air. Okay, that's what it is. So I guess that's how it should be. You don't examine it. It's just part of the belief system that you're fed, along with, when I was a kid, Catholicism and, the belief that yada or yada, you absorb this stuff, and then it falls to you as an adult to actually look to your interior tapestry and say, okay, what threads are real? What threads do I want to keep? What threads need to go? Because obviously, I don't want to be racist, but is there some of that still in me? Probably. And it falls to me to be really observant and to pay attention to my reaction to situations, and then to analyze what I want to believe is true as an adult, hopefully a slightly enlightened adult. In pondering what I would say today, I went out to the Oxford Veterans Home, and I met a friend there. She, on the eve of her 24th birthday, her designated driver wrapped the car around a tree, and she had suffered a traumatic brain injury. And she is very damaged, and you look at her, and she's very damaged. Her eyes are slightly off kilter, and her whole right side of the dominant side of her body is useless, but her mind and her soul, we have fun. I choose to go visit her. It's not like I'm being a really good person to go visit her. I love her a lot. We have a lot of fun together. And I asked her, what do you know for sure? And she said, gravity. She's also quite the wise leap. Gravity. I know gravity for sure. And everything gets old. She said, looking at her and my body, and there's a God. She said, there's a God. And that's where the truth gets dicey. Many people have a problem with the word God, as I realized in here and in other spiritual contexts. You say God, and sometimes people are recoiling in horror because, like, what the nuns taught me was like, oh man, he's got lightning bolts big time in his hands, and if you are bad, God help you if you masturbate. God help you if you do any of these things that God doesn't like. So God's gotten a really bad rap through the years, and you use those 3 letters, sometimes you can really evoke negative stuff. And I was looking in one of the Unity books, this was Lessons in Truth, and interestingly, it jumped out at me, so I printed it. God is spirit, or the creative energy which is the cause of all visible things. God as spirit is the invisible life and intelligence which underlies all physical things. There could be no body or visible part to anything unless there was first spirit as creative cause. God is not a being or a person having life, intelligence, love, or power. God is that invisible, intangible, but very real something we call life. God is perfect love and infinite power. God is the sum total of these combined with the sum total of all good, whether manifested or unexpressed. So a lot of folks I know say my higher power, or the universe, or the supreme being. What words do you use for God? For the entity formerly known as God?
Source.
Orderly design. I said grand orderly design.
Creative intelligence.
God is being itself, not a being, but being itself. For me, exactly.
All that is.
God is consciousness.
God is love.
I think you just outed me to the end of my sermon.
Sorry.
Spoiler. Although the hearts, which by the way you're welcome. I was cutting these things. I just wanted you to be able to take them and stick them on your wall if you wanted to. So whatever you call that, whatever you call it, God, that concept is fundamental to the answers that many people would give about what do you know for sure. And then comes the question of Jesus, the Christ. According to Wikipedia, which I sometimes read to give me answers in shorthand, Unity followers believe in the divinity of Jesus, but only in the sense that all humans are the children of God and share that divine potential. They believe that Jesus was a master teacher who expressed this divine potential and sought to show others how to do the same. Unity uses the term Christ to mean the divinity in all people. For them, Jesus is the great example of the Christ in physical form. Was he, as the Nicene Creed states, the only Son of God, born of the Virgin Mary, mercilessly beat and crucified under Pontius Pilate to take the weight of our sins on his shoulders? According to my evangelical friend, how I answered that question will determine my eternal life. That's heavy stuff. I don't want to be wrong. I mean, it's funny, but it's not. You know, I mean, these are enormous questions, potentially with eternal repercussions. I want to know the truth, if that's possible, and as Vera said, maybe not. So it seems to me, I don't want to believe anything for fear of what might happen if I don't. I don't want to say, yes, I must believe thus, so I'm not in hell the rest of my eternity. What is that? No. Yeah. But what do I know for sure? Maybe only this, from Matthew 22. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and all the prophets hang on these two commandments. Take those words further into the idea that God is love, and that I am a part of God, therefore I am love. Love is a verb as well as a noun that I can claim as part of my personal identity. Really not part of my personal identity. Maybe as I grow and evolve, it is the fundamental element of who I am. I am love. And I'm coming more and more to trust and understand that as I sit in the silence and ask for guidance, maybe all the guidance I received going through all that meandering pathway spiritually, maybe it was all for its purpose. Maybe people who are in those other theological places, maybe it's not a mistake for them. Maybe for whatever reason, that is exactly where they should be. I don't pretend to understand the big picture. I'm only learning how very much, as somebody said, I know nothing. And there's so much to know, but I trust the creative intelligence that there is a divine plan behind it all. I will probably never be capable of understanding it in this life or the next. Interestingly, at Tabernacle, one sage gentleman pointed out that he sees one glaring flaw among many around him, that they truly don't love themselves. And what I just read says, love your neighbor as yourself. So you kind of take that as being like, okay, I must love my neighbor. Okay. Maybe that's not its only message. Yeah, love your neighbor, but it's a lot easier than sometimes loving yourself. You know all the mistakes you made. You know what all of your inadequacies are. Maybe that's not as easy as being merciful to somebody who's wronged you. Being merciful to yourself can sometimes be much the greater challenge. And that's a mouthful that I'm still trying to digest. So I'll just give you that for your own rumination and move on. We are called upon to love, not only when it's easy, but even in the most manic and stressful moments of every day. Not only to love those who love us, but to love those who grate on the most sensitive parts of our souls. Lessons in Truth says, say you're not angry, that you are love made manifest, and you cannot be angry. I am not capable of ugliness. Maybe that will help me never be ugly. Love, 4 little letters, to take a lifetime, or maybe many lifetimes, to fully grasp and demonstrate. But for me, that's the answer that's growing roots deeper and deeper into my soul. What do I know for sure? That my main function in the world is to give that love to others and myself. And if we still have time, do we still have time?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah, we can end when is the right and perfect time for us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I wrote a meditation. I've been doing guided meditations. If anybody doesn't meditate, you might want to try that. I'm in love. There are so many wonderful ones out there. And, you know, the whole monkey mind thing made me feel like quite the failure in terms of meditating, you know, F- in meditation. But when you're listening to a guided meditation, it can really take you places if you can trust it. So anyway, I wrote you. So close your eyes and take a deep breath. Then exhale all tension from wherever it's hiding in your body. Take another deep breath. Another breath to purge all negativity from you. Sense a bright white light over your head and visualize a cascade of soft red hearts tumbling down within that shimmering light onto the crown of your head, and then being carried by the light into your head, down your neck and spinal column, caressing your face, flowing into your arms, bathing your heart and other inner organs with healing iridescence of light and love. See it flow down your thighs and calves, enter your feet, and flow through your toes and soles. Continue to breathe deeply, inhaling the joyful profusion of light and love that surrounds you. Let it do some work while it's inside of you, binding to any pain or illness or other negativity, and gently but insistently washing it out of you through your toes. Now breathe in deeply one more time, drawing the light and the love into your heart, where they will remain and grow, empowering you to give love to yourself and others as you move through the following days. Feel free to open your eyes whenever you Thank you. Any thoughts?
I wanted to respond to one of your comments about how when you were young, you believed certain things and you wanted the truth. So I can relate to that. I wanted the truth very badly as a young person and searching and searching. And then I acquired what I thought was the truth. And I lived it and I believed it and I thought this was it. Then years went by and the truth seemed to change. All of a sudden I found out maybe the opposite might be true or something totally different. And I said, wow, this totally different thing sounds like truth. I will now hold on to that and claim it and say, this looks like it. Then years went by and again the same process. And I said to myself now, wow, maybe the truth is illusionary. Maybe the truth is just an idea. And you can't really grab it or hold on to it and claim it. That it's just something that changes with every person, and all the people I met who had different truths. They were such believers. They were so strong in it. They would die for it. And I said, wow, but they believe something different than I do. So what is the truth? So that's been a big question. And so now it feels just like the body might be an illusion. This life is an illusion. All our thoughts are illusions. Truth is an illusion. And there's something else going on here. And who knows what it is. But that's my experience right now.
Well, I have something to add to that because it's very interesting. Working with teenagers when I was younger, and I was taught how to speak and communicate with them. And one of the things is they would gather the truth from their parents as they're growing up, and then they would find out that's not the truth, and then they would go against their parents, or they would think that their parents didn't know anything, and that's when they come into, hey, I'm in my 20s, I know everything now, and so on. So it's
That's why I chose that song. I just gotta say, that's great, like you're picking up on that. That's exactly why we did that song.
Yes,
Yeah,
and,
it just seemed
and
perfect.
that's exactly what she was saying was that. But also I think that the truth varies because we're all an extension of God. We're all the arm of God, and therefore all our truths will be different. And the delight of God is that it gets to experience it all. And through us, and it is amazing how our own perspectives change, but also I think our perspective changes because we evolve on a certain path, and we're all unique in that respect. So we share our truths, and they will change, and they will grow and expand, and I think it's all to the delight of God. So what is truth? I think that there is truth in everything.
I'd like to say, Hear, O Israel, the Lord God is one. There is only one truth with many different paths towards that truth and different perceptions, but there is only one truth. It's not an illusion, it's true. That's the one reality. And I'm sticking to it because I know that.
You're a true believer.
Yeah, I've noticed that, kind of like what Vera was saying, truth to me is so changeable depending on where you are in life, what level you're viewing things from. So for me, a more helpful approach is to ask, is it useful? Is this belief useful? Rather than is it true? Because if it's not useful, then I'll let it go.
Does it serve you?
Yeah.
But that's the point that I'm teaching children, is that what serves you may not serve me, and so on. So to respect
And what
everybody's
serves you
truth.
now may not serve you later.
And that
Right.
may not serve you later
Yeah.
also, exactly.
Your opinion doesn't change the truth.
Well, no, in this sense, truth,
Your
if there
perception
is
doesn't
one
change
truth, it's also feasible that there are layers to the truth. And we are able to see the layer that we're able to see when we're ready to see it. And when we're ready to see the next layer, like what you were talking about, this evolution or this cycle that you go through, when you're ready to see the next layer, you get to the next layer. And then the next, as the kids would say, you level up.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's so true.
There's all that information out there, no matter what you think your truth is, you will find
Yeah.
confirmation of that in a book or something, but this is where we create our own reality. Our beliefs create our
Exactly.
reality.
Exactly.
And it might have nothing to do with truth, it's just our beliefs, and that informs our perception and how we behave in life and everything. So I have a problem with truth. I think we are each a truth, but there is no absolute truth.
Yeah,
Because as
there's
you said
many,
too,
there's many,
as you
yeah.
change, you look at things from the north, or the
Yeah.
south, you have to look at things from every direction in life.
Exactly, yeah.
And, from every angle before you decide what you think the truth is.
And when you are on the other side, if you do want to know a lot or knowledge, it is open to you. Because of my near-death experience, it's like all the windows. Instead of having two windows, the whole thing is all open to me. So that will be your life experience if you desire it on the other side as well, you know.
You saw the
Did you have the
panorama
sense,
then.
did you have the sense at that time that you had all knowledge? That you could understand like a lot of the contradictions that have been brought up?
Oh yeah, because I think maybe to help other people. It helped me because learning, there's more to life than even on this planet. So to me, it was like a huge opening up, like somebody ripped me open and I really had to find a center again. But I did that through soul searching, a lot of soul searching, and also what I learned on the other side, because so much was given to me, so much was, they say when so much is given to you that you also must give back. And that was the sense of responsibility I had even at 11 years of age, was helping everyone because people were struggling. And yeah.
Well, plus as humans, like Jerry says, that the universe is a big place, and there's a oneness about that. But no single human being has the bandwidth to comprehend that wholeness. So we all take a slice of the pie, but nobody has the whole pie in their consciousness.
No, you couldn't handle it neurologically.
No, we just
Yes,
because we're in bodies, so we can't do that.
But when you're on the other side, you can. You
It
actually
also
can.
talks about what Rick talked about is the truth is the isness. I am, the I am.
Keeps us searching.
The truth lies in the isness of whatever particular thing it is.
Well, there was a riddle that God taught me when I was on the other side, because supposedly I came somewhat quite close to this entity, I call it. And he said, I said, well, what are you, God? And he says, well, what if I said I am? And then he says, dot. And I thought, well, that's interesting, a dot, a speck. And then we're all, its whole support, life support, is this little dot. It was just very interesting. It was almost like he was saying to me, listen, compared to all of you, I'm a speck, I'm a dot. And it was very interesting, because it got me to think an entirely flip side of anything that I'd ever known,
That was the 11-year-old experience? Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Boy,
and I got to see the
already loved
Akashic
11-year-old.
records. I got to do everything and meet the 12 councilmen. Everything. Yeah, it was a huge experience. Yeah.
Valerie, I think you picked up a live wire.
Jim was just going to say something too.
We're,
Interesting enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jim, did you have something?
we're in an age of yearning for equality. Yeah, right? Whatever part of humanity is not equal to the rest, there's a movement for it. But you just made me think that we're equal to God. Now you got to think about that for a while.
Because God said I am that. Like
God is so humble.
Yeah,
He
we're so
would tell
small.
every one of us, I am equal to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I was going to say something else about belief. When you use the word belief, at least to me, it means that's the truth. I believe in it, and that's got to be true, or my psyche's messed up. So, in a little group conversation Thursday night, some reading brought up the fact that maybe you shouldn't believe. Maybe we should not say, I believe in this. You should always be open to receiving information that just go with the flow. That really hit
That's
me.
the message of that whole movie, Dogma.
Yeah. I've thought
Don't
that for
believe,
decades.
but have ideas. Yeah.
When somebody says, what do you believe in? Don't you step back a little bit? Well, gee, this is kind of serious. What do I really believe in?
Now, I think that comes with a certain maturity, because I found teenagers to want to hold on to one truth or one
Sure.
thing,
Yes.
because they want that stability.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it does come
It's
with
a
maturity.
security blanket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It
You know,
does
when
come
we're
with-
this big.
You're idealistic at
Yes,
the same time.
yeah.
And as we go to church, every Sunday,
Yeah.
you have everybody together. I believe.
Yes.
Well, and not
That-
just
that-
at
that-
church,
that's
but this
great.
is what Valerie's talking about too. It's all of society that feeds us this ideology that we need to buy into,
Mhm.
you know, and I mean, it's in the ethos practically.
Yes,
These things
yes.
that we don't know why we know them or why we believe them. As part of what I teach my students is that it's time to make visible that which has been invisible. You know, this process of
Mhm. Yeah.
of how we are taught what we know and what we believe.
Yes.
I actually had a thought about the second commandment, which I've never read the Bible, so I don't know all of them, but this thing about loving your neighbor as you love thyself, and you said that, and I thought, well, is one of the commandments love thyself? Because I didn't know, and then you answered that question implicitly, that no, there is not a commandment to love yourself. And I thought, but within the commandment, love thy neighbor as you love thyself, is implied that you also need to love thyself. And then I got to thinking, well, what if whoever translated or the last little whatever version missed the last half of it, and that the whole of the commandment is love thy neighbor as you love thyself, and love thyself as you would love your neighbor. Because this is what I am teaching my students all the time, which is that we need to have self-compassion. We need to be treating ourselves like we would treat our best friends and our children and our neighbors who we love and our pets, with this unconditional love, without beating ourselves up for not being enough. And so I think there's some truth in there.
There's also the
Sure.
thought that in the
Right.
Old Testament, the New Testament, where the Ten Commandments came down in the Old Testament, I was quoting Jesus, which
Oh, okay.
said, like,
Right,
this is,
right.
yeah,
Right.
this is it. This is all about love now. That
Yeah.
takes the place of,
Okay, yeah.
That's right.
you know.
And that's what I was trying on the other side, is exactly what you said, is the reciprocal, everything is reciprocal.
Yeah.
And that's so above, so below, and what you give
Yeah.
out is what you get back, and so on. And yeah, it's exactly how that works, the flow. Yeah.
So where do we go from here?
We asked Jerry what he's thinking.
I'm thinking I want to expound on that little two-letter word as, love your neighbor as yourself. It does not necessarily imply in the same like manner as you love yourself. It may imply just as you are one with
Oh,
your
I
neighbor.
like that.
You as yourself, you know, you see yourself in your neighbor,
Right.
and that's the love that you imply. And then you get into the forgiveness and that one minute and the whole kit and caboodle.
And then you do the Hawaiian
And
healing
the
that Rick
misinterpretation
taught us all about.
is in the.
I hate to burst everyone's bubble, but
Good luck.
but we're taking this seriously. But in the Seth books, he talks about that phrase, and he said Jesus had quite a sense of humor, and he
Yes,
said that
he did.
because people
Yes, he
did not
does.
love themselves and they did not love their neighbor, and it was kind of a ironic statement.
Yeah.
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 Interesting.
Right.
Yeah, no, he had a great sense of humor on the other side. didn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah. he said
Valerie,
that.
did you have a thought? Please.
My first thought was about Jim's mention of belief, and I'm wondering about just that conviction of belief being connected to fear, that we're like we can look
Big
at
time.
the teenagers and
Big
say, oh, look at them, they're trying to find themselves, and they get, but isn't that me too? Aren't I saying I believe this because then I know where I am, this is my identity, and to say, well, I wonder, that's a little wishy-washy, but I wonder is really close, for me, a little closer to being in the flow. I hate to use all these jargony terms.
Instead of absolutes.
Right,
Yeah.
because there's so much more to learn, and
Yeah.
and rather than saying I
Absolutely, yeah.
believe, my journey has taken me to, we're all in this together, and all, like plants, animals, cars, rocks, buildings, we're all in this together, and if I'm treating everything like I want to be treated, I'm going into the as, which I think is brilliant, by the way, Jerry. That's the coolest thing, that I can't love others if I don't know how. If I love your neighbor as yourself, well, I'm only going to love you the way I love me, and
the
if
way
I
you know
love
to
me
love,
like, come on, step it up, lady. You're slick, and
right?
that's what I'm going to see in you.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
come
that's
on.
right.
I love you as long as you're doing what I think, you know. So I think that is, and then with just my last recent new return to awareness on mirroring in childhood, we learn compassion from our family of origin or whoever raised us. And if our feelings and ideas weren't mirrored, aka accepted, oh, you're feeling afraid of that dog. Ah, come on, Valerie. The dog isn't going to hurt you. I mean, depending on how you're oriented, that's how you're mirrored. I'm not supposed to be afraid of dogs. Blah, blah, blah. How can I love you if I don't love me?
Yeah.
So, there. That's the best abbreviation I can give you.
Thank you.
That's hard to do since we were told for how many centuries that we were born into sin. So it's made it hard for us to love ourselves. Because we felt believing that made us more spiritual or religious or whatever, buying into that. It's hard to get rid of that.
And imagine if we all loved each other and ourselves, then there'd be no government. We wouldn't need to be governed in any way.
That's an immoral word to begin with.
And so they kept
What
us
about the
under
Social
control.
Security? What about
Each other, we would probably barter and help each other through all of our own skills and help one another. So we'd be secure. Yeah. You would need the social in it.
That's so I've been, I don't disagree with any of these talks about truth being relevant or imprecise, except the fact that we do have a government and that we don't want them thinking that way. We want them to acknowledge the truth and what's false. Would they have to come to some agreement on that? You know, it's like you can disagree with New York Times maybe, but if they do follow things up and verify things, then you have to accept it on some level. You know, you can't be like some of our leaders in Washington who act like truth is relevant to whatever politically expedient. Which is unfortunately the way things have been going.
I'll add to that. Fake news is everywhere, including the Bible.
It's always been around.
Yeah, that's not new.
Yeah.
Not new.
Yeah, that's not new.
And there's no such thing as sin. There's no such thing as sin. Don't worry about that.
Well, I learned on the other side, according to God, that sin was arrogance. So that's what sin was about.
Hubris, arrogance.
Yeah,
I love
arrogance,
it.
yeah.
I love it.
And the other
Yeah, that was the worst. That was it. Just that one word, arrogance.
Oh.
Thank you.
No, I just. Turn you off, so you can talk to your neighbors without being broadcast. There you go. Oh, you guys, that was just. That was it, man. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we can hold our love offering and
It's just right.
We have to dance.
I welcome the sun, the clouds and rain.
everybody sing.
The wind that sweeps the sky when it lets the sun shine again. Sing the most magnificent life has ever been. Here is heaven and earth and the brilliant sky in between. Blessed is this life, and I'm gonna celebrate being alive. Blessed is this life, and I'm gonna celebrate Blessed is this life, and I'm gonna celebrate being alive.
That's right.
All right.
I welcome darkness, I let in the light. I see in the afternoon and I promenade in the night. I trespass in temptation, suffering sacrifice. But I awake each day with a new sunrise. Blessed is this life, and I'm gonna celebrate being alive. Blessed is this life, and I'm gonna celebrate being alive.
That's right.
Blessed is this life, and I'm gonna celebrate being alive. Blessed is this life, and I'm gonna celebrate being alive.
That was challenging.
Okay. Well, that was fun. That song always makes me so happy.
Right.
And it seems like celebrating life is what we're here for. So,
No doubt.
okay. Announcements. So I've already announced that Rose is not feeling well. Rick has an announcement.
Yep, next week on Saturday, 3 workshops, and it's gonna be at a yoga studio on Route 7. It's, if you've ever wanted to experience yoga, Qigong, which is like Tai Chi, or a workshop on being here now. That's what I'm doing, and I have flyers if you're interested in more details.
What's the address on Route 7?
Address is 136 East Service Road in Binghamton.
Binghamton?
It's the old Nelson Ellis Furniture Building.
And what time?
Yoga at 9, Qigong at 10:30, and being here now is from 3 to 5 p.m.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
It's Hillcrest.
Hillcrest, okay. more like
Hillcrest,
this.
yeah. And Unity members receive a 20% discount
Okay.
on top of the early bird discount.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So you can go for next to nothing.
Almost
Wait,
next to
Unity
nothing.
and early bird don't go together.
Well, we're trying to change that.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Okay, so there are a few announcements. You can tell I'm very happy to do the music today and to get all that together, and it did, you can tell that the bulletin suffered just a tiny bit, just a tiny, tiny bit because of it. So on the back it says today is Sunday, February 24th, but it's not. Vera and I caught the error on the front, but not the back. So today is Sunday, March 3rd, and Valerie Zehl, am I pronouncing that correctly? Close enough? Zehl, that sounds so great because you're so full of zeal. I like that.
That's true.
Is
yeah.
speaking on what do we know for sure. Afterwards, we have the board meeting. Everyone is welcome. Next Sunday, we have a change. Carol is going to be visiting her divine son in North Carolina, and she has asked me to step in and speak. So we'll be doing that. Next week, I'll be talking about time travel. So come and be here now, and we'll see when we end up.
Yeah.
And next week, on Sunday the 10th, it is our turn to host the social hour. And we like to bring a snack, light snack or pastry sort of a thing to pass with everyone. Sunday, March 17th, also known as St. Patrick's Day, Rick is going to be speaking. And after that, since it's the third Sunday of the month, we will have our potluck. And all are welcome. If you have food to share, that's excellent. If you don't, please share your personality and loveliness, and there's always enough food. Sunday, March 24th, Jamie Walters is speaking, and Sunday, March 30th, Jerry. And I didn't change the spelling again because,
doesn't matter.
you know, it doesn't. God knows, man. It's Jerry spelled with G or J. Either way, it's still Jerry.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So, if there are any other announcements from anyone, then we shall greet our neighbors. If anyone would like to share a special moment in the last week or so when they have felt God working in their lives, moments of synchronicity and promise and surprise, miracles happening. Yes.
Go ahead, Val, you go first.
Okay. I was praying about, is it time for me to leave Tabernacle now? And the message came through
Can you
clearly.
speak up?
I'm sorry.
I was praying.
Let's put you on, let's turn you on.
Is it on?
Is it time? No.
Yeah,
Is
but
it
we'll
time
just-
for
we'll
me
just-
to leave my part-time job? And the answer came to me, yeah, it is. But then I need to do something. What am I going to do? And then one thing after another through people just came like, do this, do this, do this, boom, boom, boom. And it was like undeniable. Like, okay, gotcha, thanks. Like, just appreciate that guidance.
It's like you're in the middle of the river letting it flow.
Exactly.
You're like with it. Like
Exactly.
along. Yeah. That's
And I'm
beautiful.
very thankful. Very
Yeah, be in the
thankful.
flow.
Wow.
Be in the flow.
Carol.
Yeah. I've been wanting to get to a warmer climate for sure, for a month or so. And it just turns out that my fabulous son, who's a PhD, his significant other is going away for 2 weeks to Egypt. And so I'm going to South Carolina, Charleston, which is over the top, a fabulous place. I'm excited. And it all just worked out. God has everything taken care of.
That's wonderful.
So you're gonna house it? Pardon
Are
me?
you gonna house it?
No, I'm gonna stay with my son.
Yeah, but you just said they're going to Egypt.
No, she is. His girlfriend is
Oh,
going.
I see.
He's going to be home, and I will have him for 2 weeks.
It's wonderful.
One-on-one, you don't have
The
to
poor
share.
guy. He does not like to hear about all of this.
Oh.
So, and that's all I know how to speak about it. Really pushes his buttons. But
Well, he must
I'm
be
gonna try to
ready
be
to
as
be pushed.
quiet as possible, and not over the top too happy, because that's
Thank you.
upsetting too.
It is.
Yeah, this is,
Any other unity moments, Vera?
Oh, Rebecca.
Oh, great. Rebecca.
That's a little thing. Friday, I had one of those days where everything goes wrong. Now, you're doing everything right, but everything goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend for my birthday had given me a gift certificate for a free psychic reading at the Spiritual Center in Vestal. They only do it the first Friday of every month. And I'm not really crazy about go out of my way for these things, but I thought it'd be nice. My granddaughter was going with me, and my computer went crazy.
Mm.
So I had to call Best Buy and talk to they said you better bring it in. And I had an appointment 5:30. I thought we'll have plenty of time to go to Center in Vestal. Well, it ended up being a big thing. I was there till 8 o'clock.
Boy.
So in the meantime, my granddaughter's starving, and she said, well, they said it'll be any minute, but we don't know. Let's just go over to the Dollar Tree there around the corner, you know. So we go in there, and she's looking at stuff, and I find this amazing book for $1. And I don't know, some of you might have seen this book, The Hand in the Mirror. Have you seen that?
No.
True story of a woman who was editor of the Sacramento Bee. And under her, they won a couple of Pulitzers. And her husband of 4 years died, and these things started appearing in the house. And she has the pictures, corroboration, and she starts on a journey into life after death and talks to all these people, including scientists. And it's really fascinating. I couldn't put it down, and I thought, well, I guess I was supposed to find this book instead of what I had planned to do, because it really is a remarkable story, beautiful story.
I want to, can I read it after you? and
Sure.
give it back to you? Yeah.
Sure thing. Or you could go
Because
over
I have
to the
pictures.
Dollar Tree, I think they have several copies.
So I don't go to Vestal very often,
Okay.
yeah. I think
I'll go buy some more copies.
Because, at the Dollar Tree here, they don't have that, because I was there looking for books, they
Okay.
don't have them.
I'll go and try to get more copies if I can them out.
yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So that was a treat. I thought everything went wrong, and it turned out, yeah, so.
Any other unity moments? Yeah, Vera.
Well, she just reminded me when she said, when things seem to go wrong, and I had that, and it was a day that I was getting stuck in the snow. I kept getting stuck, and it was several of them. But what was interesting is, I thought to myself, hey, this is kind of funny. Why is this happening? It's repeating in one day. And then what I found is that it was like an opportunity just to have people help me. So people came and they pushed me out, you know, and helped me and showed a whole group of them. And so I was able to connect with people on this area and this level where I needed something and they appeared. So that to me was also interesting, how people appear when you need help if you're open to it. Like I said, okay,
Yes, you have to be
whatever
open.
will happen will happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't do this myself. And they appeared and it was fine.
That always happens to you, though, it seems. No, really, you
Because
get
our
help there
lives
when
are
you need
full
it.
of miracles.
Yeah, so it's kind of
All the
fun.
time.
It's kind of fun. So then I took it this time as a fun thing. I said, well, this is kind of amusing, and because it repeated itself, this must be like some kind of a universe is playing. You know, we're playing with each other.
That's nice.
It's because you do so many kind things for everybody.
Comes
Well,
back
I
out.
think it will happen anyway.
Sure, absolutely.
I don't think there's a prerequisite.
But she's willing to receive, and I
Yeah.
find people aren't willing to receive. It's,
That's
they don't
right.
realize they have a block,
You're right.
and it's blocking them from,
Yeah. So the universe is so abundant and so huge, and the more we just open to that I notice too, it just keeps expanding. The idea of expansion and abundance and endlessness. And it just happens. It's like magic in a way.
It is like magic. It's time for our blessing of our prayer requests, and I would like to add a prayer request, a vocal one, that maybe I can get your help with. Our 20-year-old cat has been diagnosed and has anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 months to live. And this is the first experience with this kind of loss for my 9-year-old son. And this cat's been with us now for 18 years, so he's, you know, like a love of my life kind of a thing. And we are not pursuing any of the extreme measures because he has had a glorious like 20 years, if you can imagine. And he seems very happy and not to be in any pain, though he has a mass almost the size of his head inside his abdomen and a lesion on his side, but he's, you know, he's doing what he can do. And we need your prayers and your thoughts as we go through this. For me, the hardest part is there's no end date, right? I mean, and so I have to surrender to God that this is all going to unfold in the way that it's supposed to, and that we're all going to learn our lessons along the way, and I can't hurry it or slow it down, either one. So please pray for us and Curly as well, that he stay as pain-free as possible for as long as possible. And this prayer and all others that are in our prayer request box are sent up to Unity, and they're prayed over for 24/7 for 30 days. And if you would join with me, our blessing of our prayer request is written in the bulletin. God's all-encompassing love is doing its perfect work in and through us. Wholeness is established in every area of our lives, and so it is. Yes.
I just wanted to add another cat story. You just reminded me of your grief and sadness. But we just went through this several months ago with my daughter's cat, and he was the most beloved. We have several cats in the family. He was the most beloved, and he came down with cancer. And it was basically, we tried everything, Cornell University, thousands of dollars to keep him alive. And he was so special and sweet. And all I can say is, you know, we grieved, much grieving, and myself also, because I was very connected to him. Gonna have trouble talking.
I know.
But I just want to say, maybe there's a miracle, and miracles can happen. And then the miracle of Cornell University said that they could clone him.
Oh, jeez.
They saw our grief.
I love it.
And they said, we can clone him for you. We do cloning. And I was so shocked, but I thought about it in my head before they said it. I said, I wish I could clone him. And so they said, well, how much would it cost? And it's $25,000.
That's all.
I know,
So-
right? It doesn't seem like a whole lot considering what kind of technology that must be
Right.
entail, but at the
And-
same time.
Yeah, so the
That's
thing
an
is, if you
incredible
have, we can pray for maybe a miracle, money will come through and we can, what is his name?
Curly.
Curly.
Oh, he's one of a kind.
They're one of a
He's one
kind.
of a kind.
And they said that he can, even the personality is very genetic. They claim even the personality is very genetic. And that could come through too. So when you get the second Curly, it's very close to your original Curly. So anyway, that was our story that we went through.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I thought you could relate to it.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I wanted to say about animals is that I think the true miracle is that they live on love, and they truly don't go into the portion of illness. Even though they're ill, they will wag their tails and it'll still be a part of your life as if they're as happy-go-lucky.
Because
Because
they live in this moment.
exactly.
And then this one,
Yes.
and then this one.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
They do,
Yeah.
and it's so perfect for them. So it's so beautiful,
Right.
and I'm sure it will. And I'm sure you kept it as long as you did because it was love. That love keeps you alive. That's the glue of all
Yeah.
health and love.
Yeah.
But the true miracle to me is there's life after life. But also, I've had 2 animals come back to me in dreams that were so totally vivid. In fact, the one was where my dog was on my bed with me,
Yeah.
and I felt it, and I
Yeah.
woke up because I actually saw my dog jump off my bed and turn around. And I said, "Don't go," and it was like, oh, and it was the most beautiful thing because I was very awake during this, and I felt this thing rubbing against me in movement like a dog, and I'm like, and I was having a dream about it, and then I woke up and there she was, and it was just like, and the same, my first dog had a tragic death. And he came to me, and I was able to go over on the other side to a certain point to transition with him into this huge garden with all these dogs barking and playing together. It was the most beautiful thing, and what a gift! So your dogs in your dream state, or your animals of any kind, cats, will come back to you if you like it.
Yeah.
You'll recognize it. You'll
Been there.
recognize it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I do believe there's heaven and there's a place for all the animals too. I mean, there's a cat heaven, dog heaven.
Well, when I go to heaven, there better be cats there, or I'm coming back.
Yeah, you'll love it. They're
That is
there.
non-negotiable.
In fact, I can tell you just briefly that my uncle, when he died, I had a dream of him, and he always wanted a house on a hill, a brick house. He always had a dog that was a certain dog. Now, I never knew any of this about him, and I told my mom about the dream. She said, what did the dog look like? I told her exactly what the dog looked like. What did the house look like? I told her where it was on a hill. She said, that's exactly what he's always wanted, and that was our dog when we were younger. And I told her the exact name, never knew any of this. She never spoke about this, and she said he wanted that house, and I was able to furnish it with him. He knew that I used to do decorating. He said, you could furnish my house for me. We went into the square house, and I'm telling you, it's the most amazing thing. And I asked him, I actually summoned him because I said I was having difficulty with my son. And he said, in the end, he said, love is the answer. And he said, I have to take you back now. And it was the most glorious time with him. And all of that, to come back with that information that I never knew, never had before.
Well, love is the answer, and I think animals give us an opportunity to love
Yes.
more freely and somehow more easily than with humans.
Unconditional love is a powerful thing indeed. It's part of our wholeness, which is our daily word. Rebecca, would you like to read the daily word for us today?
I will begin. Healthy expression of spirit. Appearances are temporary impressions and not an accurate picture of who I am. If I am facing a health challenge, I bless my body for the restorative powers that have their source within me in the life of God. Despite any outer appearances, wholeness and strength of mind are the truth of me. I am a product of divine life, and I connect with the spiritual essence through prayer and meditation. In moments of quiet reflection, I turn within to this inner wellspring of healing and feel the energizing flow of God's perfect life in and through my body. This life is continually flowing, bringing health and healing to every part of my being. My heart beats with the rhythm and harmony of God. My cells vibrate with the energy of life. And this from Isaiah 58:8. Then your light shall break forth like the dawn, and your healing shall spring up quickly.
That's beautiful. Will you please join me in prayer in a moment of meditation? Mother, Father, Goddess, we are so grateful to be able to celebrate life together and the wholeness that is the love, the unconditional love, whether it comes from our non-human animals or the human animals that we get to spend our lives with. We thank you for this and everything else. We'll take a moment to sink into the wholeness and the silence. Moment of silence, we feel the wholeness of oneness, unity, and God, self, and others. We thank you for all that is. Amen. And we have a little special music.